So, in keeping with the Christmas spirit and this time of year, I thought it would be fitting to talk about friendship and the importance it plays in a man's life on so many different levels. Now, in the past few episodes, we've talked about virtue, and a good friend helps you grow in those virtues so much. And it's funny, but one of the things Aristotle said about virtue in his writings was that a man should count himself lucky if he can find but one virtuous friend. Right, and we all have this idea in this culture of our best friend, right? Oh, that guy's my best friend. I've never really ascribed to that title because I think that everyone's life is changing so constantly that your most intense friend changes along with that. When people are in different walks of life, I think a lot of times that changes. That's my own personal view. But I agree with that statement. If you are lucky if you can find a man who is incredibly virtuous, you can look up to, and who deems you worthy to walk alongside with, right? Who can look at you and say, this is the kind of man that I respect as well, and I would like to go enjoy certain aspects of life with. And so friendship is incredibly important when it comes to building virtue. And I think it's also fair to point out that everyone has different personalities. Some men see a goal, and the goal itself is enough to just push them through and just say, oh man, I want it really bad. I'm going to make it happen. And these men have like super strong wills. And I do believe that your will is something you can work on and you can build, and you can build that resilience. But there is a natural aptitude for a lot of personalities to just go after things wholeheartedly and just rush in, right? But there's also other personalities that in many ways need to be dragged toward virtue, okay? And I mean, obviously, virtue is a choice. No one can actually drag you towards virtue, but it's much easier for some people to act in virtuous ways if they have a partner, like a partner in crime, to help them do that. And so in many ways, that's why friendships for men just are so important. It's because a lot of things you wouldn't do on your own, you would go do with a buddy. And a lot of times that can bring up a competitive nature that makes you want to do better and to become a better version of yourself. And so for all those reasons, yeah, friendship is incredibly important. Now, also, another thing to keep in mind is that if you have multiple friends, that's awesome. That's cool. But I think it's fair to say that some friends excel in certain virtues and others excel in different virtues. I mean, all my friends who know me know that I am very imperfect, that I'm very flawed, and that I've got a lot to work on. But they're my friends. I have chosen them and chosen to remain their friend because I respect them in a certain way, and I see something in them that I think will also, that is honorable, that I am proud to walk alongside them because of that feature or that part of who they are, but also because I think it can lead me to become a better man. And I do think that's a pivotal part for men to understand. This is just foo logic, right? This is just my mind working on this, but I believe that just as virtue is a choice, you have to make choices repeatedly, time and time again, to actually accrue the virtue to make it part of your life. I think that friends may be one of the single most important choices that you make. So take a second and pause and assess your friendships, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because you can have friendships of pleasure, and you can have friendships of utility, and you can have true virtuous friendships, right? All these different types of friendship, which is awesome. But at the end of the day, friends cannot be forced upon you. You have to make the choice to be around them. And if you see that a friend that at least an acquaintance that you have been hanging out with time and time again is actually dragging you down and making you into a less virtuous person, then jump ship. Jump ship. I know it's a hard message to hear, but it's true. It's true. Friends are supposed to uplift you, to bring you to be a more excellent version of yourself. Also to call you out on your bullshit. That's another great asset that that male companions can do. I think better than women that you may know. It's like I think that men have this like kind of I punch you in the shoulder or you punch me in the shoulder, and it's this give and take that can be a little abrasive, but also very helpful for a lot of guys and very straight to the point. So that's just yet another reason why men should have great male companions to walk through life with. And so, like, to give a couple examples of what I'm talking about when it comes to being dragged toward virtue, and I don't, drag probably isn't the right word, but I'm going to use it because it's just what comes to mind. Like, there's, in our culture, a lot of people know that if you have a gym buddy, you're more likely to go to the gym. If you have somebody that you are keeping accountable and they're keeping you accountable to reach certain goals, whether, in fitness or whatever it is, then you're more likely to complete that goal and to actually, if you're a person that doesn't just have the motivation of their own accord to jump off the couch and go to the gym, well, your buddy might text you and be like, hey, man, I'm heading over to the gym now. Like we said, we were going to be there at 4. Let's do this. And for a lot of guys, that'll motivate them to do that. Now, I think I'm going to make the argument that with a lot of these things, you should never sit back and say, well, I'm just the guy that reacts when my friend asks me to do something. No, don't do that. Let that pull, like that pull to the gym or that pull to the book or pull to any kind of excellence, to anything that's going to make you to a better man. Let that just be something that builds the muscle around that thing. So don't just say, oh, I'm only going to go to the gym if my buddy John goes to the gym. Don't say that. Say, I'm a person that goes to the gym and I go with John a lot of the time. Right? Change that framework in your mind because I do think there's probably a temptation for a lot of guys when they do have friends to see certain activities as just things they do with their friends when they are just in generally good habits to form and get into. So I guess what I'm saying is, I have found myself doing this as well. So this is also a preaching to me as well, that you shouldn't just relegate yourself to, oh, I'm the guy that does X, Y, or Z because my friend asked me to do X, Y, or Z. No, I should say, I'm the guy that does X, Y, and Z, and sometimes I do it with my friend. That way, you are taking the agency back, and you are making the choice. And so you're not trying to say that it's an easy excuse to say, oh, my buddy's not going to the gym, so I can't. What I'm saying is build the muscle up each time that you do go to the gym with your buddy so that when he's not there, when he's sick and he's out of commission, that you'll still go because you've been working on actually accepting it as your choice, not his choice. Fair? Okay. So, yeah, talked about, going to the gym with a buddy is super helpful. Or this is, I've been using so many meathead analogies recently, so I'll go with something a little more brainiac, I guess. But, I think reading is very good for your brain. It's a very good thing to do. And if you have a guy, some people are like, I'm not a reader. That's a whole other discussion. But having a buddy that you're reading a book with that you can stay accountable to, like, hey, we're going to talk about these chapters or whatever, can be super helpful in helping you actually grow that aspect of who you are as a man. And so whatever part of your life you think needs work on, if you can find a friend who can help you excel in that area, do it. And be grateful for that person because they're really helping you out. Yeah, and on top of all this, I do want to say there's like a profound. I mean, I was talking a lot about the utilitarian side of things. It's like, oh, they can make you get in better shape. They can make you smarter. All these things, but there also is a very profound sense of brotherhood you can have with your guy buddies. That you just never will have, in my opinion, with someone of the opposite sex. There's just a different dynamic there, and that's fine. That's totally cool. But I would make the argument that my guy buddies and I share something that me and my fiance probably won't ever, and vice versa, obviously. But yeah, there's like this profound sense of brotherhood you can get with them, and like the competitive nature that men have with each other can be super helpful towards making you reach heights you never knew you could get to. Like each year, me and a couple of my cousins do this thing we call deer camp. It's in December. It's freezing cold outside, and we go camp and we hunt with muzzleloaders for deer. It's in season. It's all legal. Last year, we always try and make challenges for ourselves, right? Last year, the challenge was if we get a deer, we're not going to pick it up with a truck or with a side-by-side. We are going to cut down a tree, tie the deer's legs to the tree, and we're going to just pull rick it all the way back to our camp. So the last morning of the hunt, I am at the farthest hunting location away from the camp. And I hear something walking through the woods. It's a buck. I shoot it. And my guy buddies are like, oh, dude, why? Because we'd already made this commitment, and we held each other to it that, hey, we were going to haul this deer out by hand. And so we did it. And we cut down a cedar tree, and we tied the legs of the deer to it, and we hauled it out. And it was about, I want to say, a mile and a quarter or something like that. Absolutely killer. Was so sore afterwards. And the tree wasn't stiff enough, so it would like bend. Like when you'd walk with a deer on it, it would bend and just eat into your shoulder, and it hurt like hell. But it was an amazing time, and there was this great bonding that happened between me and these guys doing this because it was difficult. It was difficult, but it was fun, and it was that embracing of the challenge that you probably wouldn't do by yourself, but with your guy buddies, it really created this awesome moment we all could share and bond over. So these are the reasons that I think men should have friends to help them excel, to grow in virtue, to become a better man. And there's a lot of utilitarian reasons, and there's also just this brotherhood that you can share with your mates. So get some good friends in your life. If you have bad friends, ex-nay them. Get them out of there, okay? You don't need them. So that's all I have to say on friendship. I hope you enjoy.